This week we are talking about Karl Marx and his impact on economics and society. Whether you agree with him or not, Karl Marx was one of the most influential thinkers in history. Countries like Soviet Union and China tried to apply his ideas. We'll look at Marx in different ways. It is important to separate Marx the historian from Marx the revolutionary. You can think Marx had important historical insights but disagree with his call to overthrow capitalism. You might believe capitalism has problems like Marx did, but not agree with his view of history. In this video, we are focusing on Marx the historian. Marx saw history as a cycle. Once human formed larger societies, social classes developed. For Marx, history was about the conflict between these classes, the rich and the poor. The rich exploited the poor. This pattern repeated throughout the history. In every society, a few people had power and wealth, and they exploited the majority. Sometimes the poor would revolt, or something else would disrupt the society, leading to changes. But the pattern stayed the same. The people at the top exploiting the many below. The details might change, like who the powerful people were, but the basic idea was the same. In some societies, the powerful were religious leaders. In others, they were military leaders. But for Marx, history was about class conflict. This was more important than other divisions like religion or nationality. For example, if a book about the Roman Empire focused on the rich exploiting the poor, it might be called a Marxist interpretation. In the next video, we look at what breaks this cycle of exploitation. Before Marx, history was often seen as shaped by great leaders. But Marx believed social and economic forces were more important than individual leaders. He thought these forces limited what leaders could do. For Marx, history wasn't driven by individuals like George Washington. Instead, social and economic forces shaped history. Leaders had less control than people thought. These forces, like changes in technology and population, created winners and losers in the society. Marx's view was different from the idea that leaders steer history like a captain steers a ship. Instead, social and economic forces were like the ocean and pushing the ship in certain directions. To understand history, we need to understand these forces. This is Marx the Historian. In next video, we'll talk about Marx the Revolutionary.